Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. We would not be where we are without the incredible support of John and the team. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I'm, of course, Jimmy, and this is Countdown to Kickoff. So, normally, again, we're not going to do much of this, I suppose, while the transfer window is open, and particularly when it's as busy as it appears to be at the moment. No signings, think, since the last time, certainly not since the last time we were on, but since the last game even. But the mood has changed significantly with all of this noise about what Sheffield United are doing, and we've been right in the thick of it, not necessarily breaking things, but certainly bringing you the news as soon as we can. So we never claim to be ITK, but we'll speak to those that are and get what we can. So thank you to everyone for joining me. I do want to touch on Millwall first, really, because clearly it links into one of the targets that we're after. But Millwall, tricky customers. Look, they lost 3-0. I think it was that when did they lost at home 3-0 to Middlesbrough last time out. They beat Newport County in the Cup. I don't know whether that's a much rotated side, but the first game of the season, something we have to be wary of is Millwall away from home. And obviously they're coming to Bramall Lane this weekend. I think this is going to be a really tough game for us. I've got a feeling, and look, woohoo, I've got a feeling that despite the good mood around the camp, unless players are named or are able to come in now that that can go straight into the starting lineup, which obviously time's running out. The actual deadline is lunchtime tomorrow, midday tomorrow for a registration period. So Ben Godfrey, who is match fit, he's been training with the Atalanta first team. We heard that from Luca last night. Japhet Tanganga has been linked, clearly. Millwall will not sanction this in time for Japhet Tanganga to play against them. Why would they? It makes absolutely zero sense. I would be really interested to see whether Tanganga's in their starting lineup to face Sheffield United on Saturday. I would lean towards not, if I'm honest. Certainly if the rumours start to swirl or continue to swirl as they have been doing. But Millwall are a really tough outfit, and not just like as in a tricky opponent, as in a tough outfit. They're known to be big, strong boys. They might not have the biggest of lads, but their attitude and their aggression is always there to see. Ruben Selles talked about it in Hot Off the Presser today. They're quite an adaptable side. They don't necessarily come and put their game plan on you. They're spoilers. They will set up to pick off your weaknesses, maybe soak up a little bit of pressure. They can change their formation to suit the opposition. 2 men up front, usually. Ivanovic and the lad they got, Josh Coburn, the lad they got from Middlesbrough. Expecting those two to play. Although Ivanovic has had some interest from Leicester, I'd still expect him to play on Saturday. Really dangerous from set pieces historically. Big Jake Cooper, don't know whether he's fit and available, but he always is a thorn in our side. If we've not got these bodies through the door in time, which Sayers reckons we might have, I reckon we could get bullied, to be honest. We're quite a small team currently. I know we're looking to change that. Quite a small team currently. Very young team as well. I do fear for the result on Saturday, even though the bigger picture for Sheffield United is looking a lot better. Can we right? Because so much of football, and I'll get onto the transfers, I know that's what people want to talk about, but so much of football is confidence and mentality. Obviously, a lot of it is talent, but so much of it is how you feel. We have not, Ruben Selles said it again today in his presser, they don't become bad players overnight. They haven't become bad players in the last 14, 18 days. They've still got the same qualities. They've still got the same abilities. And if they can get their heads right and focus on the task at hand, which is beating Millwall, then we've every chance. If they're in a better mindset, if Gus sees the moves that we're making, for example, and he is murmuring behind the scenes that, oh, well, I might want to assess my options. If Michael Cooper might want to assess his options, well, actually now they're going to put Ben Godfrey in front of me, and they're going to put Japhet Tanganga potentially, or Ben Mee even, who's a captained a side for years in the Premier League and played really well, a dominant centre half, as Sayers called him today. Matty Zetterstrom, where we're strengthening that left side of defence. I said earlier today as well, Callum Doyle he's not yet officially signed for Wrexham, but he is wearing their kit, training with them. So it's all but confirmed. Does that end their interest in Jack Robinson? And I'm not just asking this question because I am keen to get Robinson out of the club. I think everybody knows my stance on it, but it's more a case of where do the moving parts go, because we certainly don't need 4 centre defenders if Jack Robinson and Tyler Binden are still here, do we? So we've got Jack Robinson currently, Tyler Binden, Reece Norrington-Davies, who you would expect to go because there's been interest from QPR. But we're linked with Japhet Tanganga, Ben Godfrey, Ben Mee, and Matty Zetterstrom. So you'd think Matty, I keep calling him Matty, that's a thing now. It's Nils Zetterstrom, but we don't need all 4. I know Matty is one for the longer term, but he will be in and around the first team, no doubt about it. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here with the bodies and how many we need and how many we're going to get. I did say last night that it's my opinion, and it's something that I've been told as well, is that we are at the stage where we will work deals almost up to completion and then basically cherry pick which ones we want. Bobby Thomas is still not off the table, although it's looking less and less likely. Tim Eric-Bunham is off the table. We didn't move in time for that. He's impressed with Everton in the first game of the season against Leeds, even though it were a losing effort. He's done enough, I think, to, if not be in and around the first team at Everton, then get a higher placed loan elsewhere, I would have thought. So we didn't move quick enough, basically, on that one. Could have had him. It was all done and dusted, but we have dilly-dallied with that one. And I'm not criticising it because we're now looking at other alternatives. The other thing to talk about, I suppose, is yesterday on the transfer news, I said I'm aware that we are considering a move that will knock your socks off. It wasn't actually Luca that told me that. However, Luca has since broken that player is Philip Billing. So when we were talking about a player last night on stream that we are considering a bid for, it is Philip Billing, and that would knock my socks off, to be fair. So that doesn't mean we're going to get him. That doesn't mean we're definitely bidding for him. That means that we are considering stretching ourselves to bring in a player of that calibre. So I think that's an absolute game changer, and no guarantees. This is why I didn't want to mention his name, because although it's out already, because other sources have broken it, so you can talk about it freely, I suppose. But if it doesn't happen, people will now be disappointed. And they'll be disappointed if we only get Tanganga, Godfrey, Wu, all these players that we've been after and certainly crying out for over the last week or so. It's a brilliant window whether Billing comes or not. Billing would be the absolute icing on the cake. But we said for a while, centre midfield is good. We'll have a problem fitting players like Sidney Peck in soon if we're not already. Ollie Arblaster, when he comes back, he will certainly be in and around the first team. But if you've got Philip Billing and Gus Hamer next to each other, it's not an easy midfield to break into, is it? And that's what you want. You want quality and depth, but you also don't want to stifle your players, because if Arblaster's the one that's sniffing around trying to get in and nudge back in front of Hamer and Billing, and Samari's there to support Billing in terms of the destroyer role, if you like, for want of a better phrase, or certainly the ball winner, where does Sidney Peck fit in? And how does that affect his value going forward? Not only his value, but his development overall as a player. You know, if we end up, we could go off on all sorts of tangents with this, but I'm excited. I'm hearing a lot of things in terms of quick movement and some of these deals. Clearly, we've had nothing from Sheffield United yet, but some of these deals are moving quickly and are close from what I'm being told. So Okay, that is where we are with stuff. This will be largely driven by you tonight because of everything that's going on. I'll tell you exactly what I know. How are you feeling about Millwall? We are here to talk about the game as well. There is an actual game on Saturday, which we need. Look, it's all very positive at the minute, but if we get done at home on Saturday, it's a punch in the nose, isn't it? It really sort of halts our enthusiasm, and I suppose it makes us even more desperate for those bodies that we're talking to currently. But we need to start gaining some ground now. It's all well and good we joke about, we'll give other teams a head start again this season. How many games did Leeds lose last year? How many games did Burnley lose last year? We've lost 2 already in the league and we're out of the cup. So we need to get some momentum. We need to start turning the corner. Would you take a draw? That's probably a question I want to ask you right now. Would you take a draw? Considering our form, yes, we are linked with great signings that will undoubtedly make us better. But for the current form that we are on, nothing's changed on the pitch. Would you take a draw now if I offered you a point? And I think some might. I've titled it, Will the Cavalry Arrive in Time? I did that some days ago, and it's ironic that it's actually turned out to be truer than we ever thought, isn't it, really? So, right, let's get into some of your comments. Who starts us off tonight? I need to scroll up and find out where we started. S17 says, evening, Jim. One Leeds, Conor McGilligan, saying this morning that it's highly likely they get Gus in this transfer window. Connor, he knows that boy. He knows nothing. Thoughts? I think he needs to have a word with me. I think we need to have a little chat about where things are, and I'll put him straight on what's happening with Gus Hamer. On billing, surely we can't compete with Ipswich, can we? Up the Ramble, and he's put a little money bag there as well. I have no concerns at this moment in time that Gus Hamer moves to Leeds. No concerns. I'm not as confident as I was earlier in the summer that he definitely doesn't leave. I said all along I thought Anel and Vinny left and Gus stays and Cooper stays. And I'm less confident in Gus, or I was before the transfer news broke out. If you're Gus Hamer, let's think about this logically, and I won't go into any. There's a few details around the scenes that sort of cloud this a little bit. But just talking in football terms, if you're Gus Hamer and you are at the peak of your value, at the peak of your career, in terms of you're not going to cost, you are. It's a real earning potential for him here. He could get another big move, which he knows, get a big sign-on fee, probably double his money if he went somewhere like Leeds. If he gets a big offer and Sheffield United lose the first 3 games, which we have, lose another game, and it becomes clear pretty quickly that we're not going to be in automatic promotion contention if we were to continue on that trajectory that we were on. And we're still on it, let's be right, but there's such renewed optimism with these transfers. What incentive has Gus got to stay? What incentive has he got? And that is just being honest. He's not a blade like us. He's not, he loves being here, and a lot of people see him out and about, and he talks to people and lets them know that how much he does enjoy being here. But you've got to also think about it from a logical point of view. If you were in a job that you enjoyed, but then you didn't really see your career prospects going anywhere, and you know that an alternative company are going to offer you double the money and promotion opportunities and a huge big wedge to come over there, then you can still enjoy your job where you are, but you're going to entertain the offers elsewhere, aren't you? Whereas, if your current job says to you, look, stick with us. I know we're going through a tricky patch at the minute, but we're going to bring in some experts here, there, and that's going to push us up, and we may, longer term, be able to double your money like these other teams are offering to do. So, I get it from Gus's point of view. I'm not as confident, but I still don't think he leaves. If I'm a betting man, I think he stays. I think him and Cooper stay this window. So, and that is everything that we need to happen, because he is our best player, undoubtedly. In terms of billing, I'm not sure we can compete financially with Ipswich. I don't know what we can offer that Ipswich can't, if I'm completely honest. They are a first season parachute team. They have a stronger squad on paper, which we can all recognise. The favourites for the league for a reason. Philip Billing would be probably, if not the best, one of the top 3 players in this league if he were to come into it. He certainly starts for Ipswich, so it's not like we can offer playing time over what Ipswich will offer him. it's really tough. It's going to be a really tough get, I think, if Ipswich's interest is serious. I know we are just at the stage where we are considering whether we would go to that level. Philip Billing, although these are the sort of calibre of players we are targeting now, is very far off in terms of being a done deal or being further down the line. It's preliminary stages. I'm not even convinced we've had a bid yet. We might be having preliminary conversations about it. So please don't get your hopes up too high on Philip Billing. That is why I didn't really want to talk about him at this stage. Josh says, been looking at the rules for the 25-man squad. Players under 21s at the start of 2025 don't need to be registered, but all loans do. So minus the youngsters and hopefully Robbo and Reese, we have 17. It leaves 8. We're not going to get all 8. We're not going to get all 8, but Wu, me, Tanganga leaves 5. Would another centre midfielder, Billing great in the Championship, right wing and someone who can play left, right and striker. I'd look at Watson at Brighton. Great shout for Tom Watson. That's been mentioned before as well, to be honest. George at Chelsea on loan, and Hadji, who's on a free. Hadji, who used to play for Rangers. Georgie's boy, isn't he? I'm sure we will be very active. I'm not sure whether those 3 loans come into consideration or the 2 loans and the free. But we'll have to wait and see, pal. Some good suggestions there. Hi, Jim. Would you bring in Philip Billing, says Josh. Absolutely right, I would. He bosses this division. He bosses it. It's the nearest thing we get to a Vinny Souza replacement. I think Vinny's slightly better defensively and Billing's better going forward than Vinny. I think we'll get more goal contributions, but I think he's also more of a presence at things like set plays than Vinny was. I know Vinny had the height, but I think Billing uses it a little bit better, his physicality. I really like Philip Billing as a player, and I'm not alone in that. He's not exactly a secret, is he? I think he's 29 now. The only way I think we get him is to offer him a better deal financially than Ipswich. I'm not sure we can do it, but we're talking about 10 million quid for a 29-year-old. No resale value. There'll be no resale value in that. So it's whether the board and Sayers and the recruitment team believe he is good enough to be the difference. And possibly he is. Possibly he is. I certainly think he would be. Come on, Jim, spill the beans. What's the tweet about? Up the blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. I got reined in a little bit, if I'm honest, L-Dog. I'd heard a little bit of news, and all it is a little bit of minor details on some of the deals. I can be vague and tell you that I'm really pleased with the progress of some deals. I can't go into as much detail because I can only go as far as I'm able to, can't I? So things are progressing really well, and I'm very excited about it. That was my tweet. Newcastle lost their first 2 league games in the 16-17 season, and they went on to win the league that same season. So getting the reinforcements in defence and defensive central midfielder, and we can turn this around. Like and subscribe. I love the positivity of these sort of comments from J619 and others. A lot of people mention, Chris Wilder lost his first 4 games. There's not many Chris Wilders about, and I think we all know that. And it's not gonna be a Chris Wilder stream again because we've talked about him an awful lot. Because we're allowed to, believe it or not, he's the most successful manager in recent history. Newcastle were a powerhouse at this level, had squad players that were incredible. We haven't got that. You can, and I like the fact that we're trying to be positive. You can use these rare examples of success coming out of adversity, but usually, if you lose your first 2 games, you're not getting promoted automatically, are you? Leeds didn't do it last year. Burnley didn't do it last year. And we didn't do it last year. So I get what you're saying, but they're few and far between. Ray says, looking forward to Saturday and hopefully some new signings in a win. Yes, a win. 2-0 Blades. Up the Blades, up all the rambles. Like and subscribe. Nice one, Ray. Love that. David says, evening, Jimmy. Was asked today by the doctor and a few nurses, what's that badge? Blades Ramble, I replied. Like and subscribe. Matilda shakes. Last time Blades Ramble. Today I'm a walking advert. Nice one, David. Love that. Representing everywhere you go. I hope they're subscribed. We have got increasing subscribers. If you do like what we're doing and you want more from the channel, you want to see a little bit more, if you'd consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. We are on the way to 10k and I can't tell you how long I've wanted this milestone. It's one of them, isn't it? It's one of them that sticks in your head and you see it from a mile off. And now we're full steam ahead, trying to get to that 10k. So, thank you to everybody that's recently subscribed. And obviously, thank you to those that have been with us from a week ago all the way back to 3 years ago, and I can name half of them that were here at the time as well. So thank you to everybody. Phil says his press conference was very informative. He's a really good speaker. My interpretation of it is he was waiting for the finances to be in place before he could get the go ahead on transfers, Jim. No, my interpretation of it is he kicked off about not having the necessary tools to do his job, and he was right. And the board have relinquished, sort of admitted defeat, and sort of said, right, well, what do we need then? What do we need? And we have gone back to the original recruitment team of Mikey Allen and Jamie Hoyland, overseen by Carl Schieber and Steve Bettis and a few others. I would have thought that there'll be a few in the mix. More than those, they're just the names that we know. And they've gone back to basics, I think, by the sound of it. And they're chucking a bit of money around, which is what's needed. It's certainly what's needed if you want to compete at the top of the championship. You look at what other teams are doing. Coventry have spent money. Middlesbrough have spent money. We haven't. We've sold players and loaned in. And if we want to stay at that level or above those teams, which is where we were last season, then we have to spend to compete. We've lost Vinny Souza. We've lost Anel Ahmedhodzic. And all the loan players. Kiefer Moore, you could include in that in terms of extra firepower. Ruben Selles said today we lost 11 first-team bodies out the door, and we brought in 3. So we don't consider any of the signings so far, other than the 3 loans, Samari, Bindon and Barry, you don't consider any of them first-teamers. And they're the only 3, and they're all on loan, no permanence. And I agree with him. So that's what's happened. He's kicked off, said, you know, you're sending me to a gunfight with a knife here. What's going off? And he's right. He was the scapegoat. He was the one. And Sayers has to do the business now, by the way. If we get these players in, I don't mean he has to do it, turn it around immediately. We have to back him. We have to give him time. But there will be no excuses for Ruben Sayers if we get these players in of this calibre and he doesn't turn it around within 6 to 8 games. We certainly need to, as a club, if we want to save our season, but he needs to do it if he's going to prove to the fan base that he is the man that the board believed he was when they first appointed him. John says, hi pal, bet you £10 there's no new player in for Saturday. I think they will. I'll be shocked if there isn't. But I'm not a betting man. I only bet on match bingo. So match bingo. So if you want to support match bingo, the QR code's there. Not sure about billing, if I'm honest. What? This is a game of opinions, Phil, and that is why it's like a variety show, isn't it? The fan base, and everybody has their own tastes, and I love it. Some compare it to ice cream. Some like vanilla, some like chocolate, some like strawberry, some like what does that stuff like? Salted caramel. But to say Philip billing, you're not sure about it. Don't know, mate. Don't know. Sounds a bit dodgy, mate, to quote the in-betweeners. I rate him. I really rate him, and that's fine if you don't. Martin says, evening, Jim. Head says, Wall will bully us off the park. Hart says 2-0 Blades. I'm about there. I think we get beat if we're not careful. I'm not going to say it out like as in a definitive statement. I think we get beat. I would probably take a point. Because we cannot get caught up in the fanfare of what's happening off the pitch and forget how bad we've been on the pitch. We need these players in, and I think it will be subject to these players coming in. And who it is, really. If it's Matty Zetterstrom that walks in before 12 o'clock tomorrow, he's not expected to be a superstar to save our season, is he? Whereas somebody like Tanganga and Godfrey, they're about as statement signings for a centre-half as you can get at this level. Certainly Tanganga on a permanent, if that is to happen. Which is looking good. At the moment. Wait till they're holding the shirt. That is the only time to be super giddy about it. Wait until they're holding the shirt. Evening, Jimmy, and a good evening to all Ramblers, says Nige. Blades, hope everyone positive for the weekend. Club looks to be doing business now, so get behind the lads on the pitch and make the lane. Yeah, let's make the lane. A fortress again, he says. Millwall and no mugs. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up behind the Ramble, up the Sayers Army. I'm going away. Is that what we're saying there? Like and subscribe. Millwall are no mugs. No team in this league is a mug. We even saw, we did a watch along on Ramble FC And we'll be doing another tomorrow night. So join me and Jordan Motson for a watch along on Ramble FC. I think it's Derby, Bristol City. But we watched Wednesday play the first game of the season against Leicester, and they weren't any mugs either. And they have used their terrible off-field antics to galvanise what's happening on the pitch. Look, they'd had no pre-season. They were all breaking down everywhere. Bazza got sent off. It was great to see. They got beaten last minute. Brilliant. Can't get much better than that. But they didn't just roll over, is my point. Nobody in this league are mugs. You need to turn up and you need to be better than them on the day. And that's what we need to do. And I think we've certainly got the quality in the side to do it. That defence is not a bad defence. But it was really poor on the first day. And against Swansea, we were toothless. So we need to change. We need to change something. Oh, the Blade says, would any new signing change your starting 11 at all, Jim? Absolutely, they would. Absolutely. If Tanganga and Godfrey come in, I'm putting Godfrey right back and I'm putting Tanganga in for Jack Robinson, moving Binden over to the left. If Wu comes in, he's going in at right back. It'll be Wu and one other. So it might be Wu and Godfrey. Then Godfrey goes in at centre back and Wu goes in at right back. Yeah, there's loads that could change it. I could make an argument for Ben Mee if he's fit. If he's as fit as what manager, I don't think he'll play. And I think he said he's not going to make a decision on Ben Mee till next week. But I could make a decision for a lot of changes in that defence. I think Samari has to start. So I don't think there's going to be much change in midfield. But yeah, the defence I could make an argument for. It'd be interesting if Tanganga plays for Millwall on Saturday. I don't think he will. If he doesn't, then he could be on his way. I'll be amazed. At this stage, I'll be amazed if Tanganga plays on Saturday. For either side. Rob says, evening Jimmy, confident as can be going into the game. Confident as can be. Yeah, so it depends how you say these things, doesn't it? I'm confident as I can be going into the game, but I do fear a very toxic cop if we go 1-0 down, especially early on. Tanganga, Wu, Godfrey, me though, would have our defence sorted. Like and subscribe, folks. Thank you, mate. Yeah, I agree. I think they may have bought themselves a bit of a stay of execution. I don't mean the owners or Ruben per se, but in terms, you could feel it. I could feel it in myself in terms of going towards a real downer on what's happening this season already. But then the news of what's happening off the pitch sort of gives you a little bit of hope. We'll know exactly where we stand in 10 days' time. Come 1st of September, 11 days' time, whatever it is. But we'll know exactly where we stand then. But it's until then, we're in limbo a little bit, aren't we? And it's exciting. It's exciting. We can't say we didn't enjoy hearing from Luca last night and all the role. I tweeted out before even rumours all burst, I think it was. It might have been just after. I love football. Nothing else. And I know you responded to it, Rob. Nothing else gets you feeling this way than football. It's absolutely brilliant. When you love your club, it's a roller coaster in it. It sends you on a ride, the roller coaster of emotions. Millwall, a very tricky team to play against, says Up the Blades. Their defence is solid. I see us struggling a lot to score against them, so I'd be happy with a 0-0. They did lose 3-0 against Middlesbrough. But I agree, I think they're really tough, particularly coming away from home. He also says it's good to see that the owners are spending now, but really where was it before? They've not spent any money on transfer fees since January. Not been good enough, but they're making up for it if it happens. Absolutely right. Is Philip Billing true? I know I've just commented on that. Kill him with kindness. But it's true that we are making inquiries or considering an offer. It's so far from being anywhere near done. I don't even think we've spoken to the player. I don't know where we are with negotiations. It's very, very early days, but we will be in that conversation from what I'm understanding. Chris says, I suspect billing rumours are just that. A rumour. His wages alone keep us out. Wanted by United when we were Premier League. A quality player, but too expensive. That's Chris's opinion. Chris says, I hope it happens, but I think we lose on Saturday. Soren says, let's go Blades, tear it up and fight your way to the top. I'll be waiting for you in the Premier League next season. From one passionate Danish Leeds fan, may the best team rise. Thank you, pal. Good start for your boys. I enjoyed watching that game the other night. I thought you were very good. My prediction, being hopeful, says Up the Blades, says 1-0 Blades. Michael Cooper saves a penalty at the death and we're all happy. It's not the players, it's the system they're playing, says Phil. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Mike says, evening, Jim. Can I just say it's awesome to see both yourself and the channel thriving. We're blessed to have you up the blades, up the ramp. Thank you, Mike. That's a lovely thing to say. I really appreciate that. Doyle officially signed with Wrexham now, Jimmy. Not sure Jack is moving. That's the concern, Michael. That is the concern. Like and subscribe. It's free, says Up the Blades. It helps Jimbo a lot, and at the end of the day, he deserves it. Thank you. It's very kind of you. I don't really know how to respond to compliments. I'll just scroll past, but I do appreciate it. Surely we don't get billing, says Chris. That's the spirit. That's the... No, I'm only joking. Thing is, the problem with... And I think I've just said this, actually, but I'll repeat it again because I know people join at different times. But the problem with putting a big name out there is if we don't get him now, it's seen as a disappointment, isn't it? Whereas if we end up finish up with Tanganga on a permanent, Wu on a permanent, Zetterstrom on a permanent, Godfrey on loan, and a different alternative holding midfielder to Billing if it doesn't come off, and a right winger, we'll have had a really good window. It's just come way too late, and we know that it's been done out of desperation. Whatever way it's been done, it ends up being a good window if that happens, and there's a long way to go before it does, by the way. But just because we might not get Billing doesn't mean it's a bad window, in my opinion. And that's always the danger of floating a big name early when it's already been said as well. I think a lot of the articles were saying Bournemouth are willing to consider offers for him towards the end of the window. So this will rumble on. Rumble on. Ben says, evening, Jim. Got a good feeling for Millwall. 3-1 for the Blades. Also, even us being interested in Billing is good news. Shows we're serious. That I agree with. Been wanting Billing at the Lane for years. Up the Blades. Up all the Rambles. Like and subscribe. He's one. I agree with you, Ben. I'm not disputing what you say at all. He's not really one that any of us can point to and say, I've wanted him for so long. I'm not on about your point per se, Ben, but he's that good a player. A lot of people will have said that. A lot of people will, like a lot of people say about David Brooks. You know, it's not a case of nailed it. I spotted him ages ago. Philip Billing, like somebody said earlier, in fact, like you said here, it shows we're serious because he's a serious signing, isn't it? A serious player. So when we were talking about him, we were a Premier League side. That's what's been mentioned before as well, and that's true. So it's really exciting to be linked to him now. Whether it comes off or not, again, let's try not to get our hopes up too much because that is really stretching. This is what it's been described to me as. It's seen as us going to the very top of what we can possibly aim for. So it's not out of the question, but it's not going to be easy either. At this point, I'd take anything other than a loss, says Chris. Henry says, what's your view of rumours Leeds might come in for Hamer according to Yorkshire Evening Post? Load of tosh, to be honest. Connor on One Leeds mentioned it this morning. Might have been the Athletic. Apology. If it's the Athletic, I'll be worried. Yorkshire Evening Post are credible as well, to be honest. I don't think there's anything in it. I don't, honestly. But I don't know that. I don't speak to Gus. I don't. But last I've heard, he's very happy at Sheffield United. He was exploring his options, like we were talking about at the beginning. You can't blame him for that. But it doesn't mean he leaves. And there has to be an acceptable offer on the table for us. If I'm Leeds and I want a player of that profile, I think Gus Hamer's a better player, if I'm honest. But Josh Brownhill's going on a free. Plays a very similar position in a very similar way to Gus. He slots right in at Leeds, and I don't understand why they're not going for that as an alternative. Either way, I don't think Gus happens. I don't think Gus leaves. I'll be surprised. I'm not as confident as I was. Chris says, no draws for me. We need to start winning and get the points stacked up. Winning breeds winning. I agree. We need the win, but judging by how poor we've been this season, I think most would take stopping the rot, to be honest. Michael says, my first thought when I heard about Billing was, is coming to replace Hamer? It's different players, I think. Different players. Cooler King says, in this sort of form, you can't turn your nose up at a point against Millwall. I agree. I agree with that. Obviously, 3 would be better, but the key thing is to not lose. A third defeat and the pressure just grows and grows. I agree. I agree with that completely. I want to win. That's not the question. It's a case of I think we probably take a draw. If Gus goes to Leeds, does he even get in the team? Yeah. He's certainly in the first 14. I think he starts more than he doesn't. But I don't think he's the first name on the team sheet. It's probably fair to say, but really strong player. I live in Richmond, North Yorkshire, says Rich. Now, and Josh Coburn grassed the lad I work with up to the police for selling him disco biscuits when at school. Oh, Josh Colbert, he needs smashing just for that, doesn't he? Matty's not in Malmo's squad tonight, says Nige. Fear the worst against Millwall, says Clive. Big T says if we get 2 players in today and tomorrow morning, I can see Bramall Lane buzzing Saturday. Millwall always have good away following when they come to Sheffield. Let's have it. Good lad. Ush says, I live up the road from Gus. He says he loves it here and has no intention of leaving. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm hearing too. But he's hardly going to say to you, don't tell anybody, Ush. But I'm speaking to Leeds. So it might not happen. So let's pretend I'm happy at Sheffield. He's not going to say that, is he? Let's be honest. We've got to play it both ways. I believe he's happy, and he's telling a lot of people he's happy, and I don't just mean people that he sees out and about. A move to Leeds means he don't have to move house. You know, there's all sorts of considerations. There's other things happening in the background with Gus as well, which I'm not going to speak on. But I still think he stays. Blunt Yorkshireman says, are there any other statement signings been sounded out instead of billing if he doesn't come up the Ramble? Not that I'm aware of at the moment. Adam says, it don't mean it's not happening though, because I'm not the recruitment team, believe it or not, don't ring me. I'd love them to, but I don't ever want to be tagging myself as knowing what's going off all the time, because I don't. I've just got good people that I've been fortunate enough to make some contacts and things like that, and they'll tell me in confidence what I can and what I can't share and things like that. So I always want to be careful and not betray anybody's confidence, but I'm certainly not ITK. I don't claim to be. I just know people that are, and it depends what info they've got. Adam says, I'm going to my first game this season with my Blades Ramble t-shirt. Go on then, son. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Yes, love that. Love that. Thank you for supporting. Available on Amazon now. Designed by the one and only Man Mountain. We are going to have a revamp of our merch over the next couple of months. But thank you for everybody that supports us. Does Billy need an Uber? I know just the man. So do I, mate. So do I. I'll give him a ring. Finn says, it's such a shame it's taken this long to wake up, and even now I'm saying this, we still haven't actually signed anyone. Correct. If we are to miss out on playoffs by 6 points or less, then we are all going to be looking at these first 2 games. If we miss out on playoffs by 6 points, we don't deserve to go up, do we? So let's be right. What's done is done. Let's try and focus on the positives. Not easy, but let's try. JP says, we lost the first 2 or 3 when we went up the first time under Wilder. I think we did. Again, it's not... Lightning doesn't always strike twice, does it? Rob Cullen says, hey up, Jim. Hope you good, mate? I am, thank you, pal. Definitely need 3 points against Millwall, especially at Bramall Lane. We'll probably take a draw if it was away. Got a good feeling about Saturday. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Billy says, anything on Woo, Jim? Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Close is the word I've got. Close is I haven't had an update since I last said close on stream, which I can't remember when it was, but it was probably not very long ago. So I haven't got an update other than it's still definitely in the mix for us. And it's exciting because from what I've seen, and I have been dragged into the danger of looking at some highlights, which you can't do. You can't do. It doesn't give you an accurate reflection of what the player's like. But it looks like an improvement on Femi defensively. Not many can compete with Femi going forward as a right back, but defensively, I think there's some work to be done there. Wrexham have just announced Doyle's signed for him. Okay, good signing for them. Do you reckon we'll use all our loans up in these final 10 days or save them for January? Normally, we like to save them for January, but I think we'll use all 5. Having said that, Samari's a foreign domestic loan, isn't he? So, well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Mark says, do you want Bamford, bud? It'd be a snip at 3 million from us. Can't get rid. No thanks, mate. No thanks. Maybe if you let him go for free and you pay his wages for a year, then maybe you can have the Ryan Brewster role where all injured players for Sheffield United get to be a bit of a cheerleader. So you could maybe do that if you're willing to pay his wages for it. That's something we could talk about. Surely Brooks could be available now. Bournemouth have brought a pair of wingers in. Did you see Brooks against Liverpool? I thought it were great. No chance David Brooks leaves Bournemouth. Not to go down to Championship anyway. Certainly not bottom at Championship. Mr. V with a super chat. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. Good evening, Jimmy. I'm really excited the board have finally woken up and seem willing to spend on quality players. It's going to be a tough game against Millwall, and I would take a point right now. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. I am exactly of the same thought process. It feels like it anyway. It feels like it's they've been pressured into doing this. But whether they have or they haven't, it don't matter, does it? They're doing it. So yeah, delighted with that. I also want to say thank you to Ian, who I've just noticed had sent a super chat, a donation directly to the Ramble account. So thank you, Ian, the gatekeeper. Very much appreciated, pal. Maury says, EPLFC has done a here we go for Philip Billing. Apparently medical booked. I'm not believing it. Miles off. Miles off. Unless something amazing has happened in the last hour. No chance. No chance. To be honest, I don't... In fact, I'm not going to speak on other people like that, because that's up to them if they want to do accounts like that. And more power to them if, you know, a couple of things you'll get right, but I'm not sure of the validity of it, if I'm honest. Scott says, during the Millwall press today, manager was asked about Japhet Tanganga and he ignored and refused to answer the question. Ray says, someone needs to make sure the fax machine is charged up to get these to him for Saturday. We can't lose any more ground. Up the blades, up the ramble. Brunch. Will there ever be a transfer window that goes by without someone mentioning the fax machine? It's folklore in Sheffield United history, isn't it? Well done to Ray for mentioning it this time round. Billing won't happen, says Lee, but really good player for this level. As our STDs have dropped so badly. I think you mean standards. I think that's an abbreviation for standards. How many defeats will they accept before he is sacked? My guess is the way the club will run, any staff will be replaceable. Not negative, just reading between the lines from what Sayers said about choosing players. Okay, mate. That's your opinion. You think there's no hope with him here and the board will sack him? You might be right. You might be right. I hope you're not, and I'm sure you hope you're not, but we'll see. Hi, mate. I do think me comes in if Robbo goes, to be honest, says Statman Jack. Looking like we are going to have options to play a back three at this rate, which is nice to see up the blades, up the ramble. Yeah, I think bringing in this number of centre halves, it does give you that option to go through at the back. Something me and Man Mountain have spoke about. I was quite heavy on it earlier in the pre-season. I want to see us go with the back three. Man Mountain's been keen on it more so in recent times, and I've sort of stayed away from it in terms, not because I don't want it, because I think Burrows and Sariki are great wing backs, but the fact that Barry's here makes it difficult because he's a left forward and that fits the current system with four at the back. So I don't think it'll happen as much as I like it, but it does give us options possibly in game as well to change. You know, you're playing a 4-2-3-1 and you take your 10 off and you put Ben Mee in centre defence. That shows you up a lot, doesn't it? I think there's all sorts of options you can go there. And I like it, Jack. I'm with you, pal. Nathan says, hi, Jimmy. If we had Sariki, Wu, Godfrey, Tanganga, Zetterstrom, Bindon, Burrows, what's your back line? I have to be honest, and I do like Tyler Bindon, or Tyler Durden, as my dad calls him. I've got to go with Wu, Godfrey, Tanganga, and Burrows as my favoured three. If you're giving me five, let's see. If you're giving me five, I might want Sariki as a wing back. If you're giving me five, I'll go Godfrey, Tanganga, Bindon as your three with Sariki and Burrows, and Wu might have to sit out. I also think if Wu doesn't come in a speedy fashion, then Godfrey could be a right back option. Tanganga can also play right back. He played there for Tottenham. What it does, Nath, is it gives you options, doesn't it, pal? And that is what we need. Fairfield says, loving the players we're linked with. We in for any right wingers that you know of, Jim? No, I don't. We certainly will be, but I don't know them. The one that I knew about is no longer on the table, which we talked about yesterday in the transfer update, and I will give you the name of that player when the window's shut. I hear Godfrey can play right back as well as centre half. He certainly can, and he does very well at right back. In fact, he hasn't played centre half for a while, I don't think. He's more recognised as a right back, very athletic, gets up and down really well. Wendy's played well against Leicester. Yeah, they did, Maury. They did. Me is a must, says Ray. A big, strong centre-back we're crying out for. I know Sayers said he were fit, but there's a difference between being fit and looking good in training to being match fit. So I do think he'll need some getting up to speed. He's not had a pre-season. He'll have been with a PT, I would have thought, but I'll be surprised if he's match ready. But you're right, Ray. I would I would love us to sign Ben Mee, even if he doesn't end up starting, to be honest, because Nathan mentioned him there, so it got me out of jail a little bit. Mark says, hey, Jimmy, mate, do you think Hamer will stay or come to Leeds? I think he stays, mate. But I'm not as 95-5 that I was. If he goes, I'll be honest, if he goes, I don't think it's to Leeds. I don't. But look, journals are reporting it, so there might be something in it. I just don't think there is. Dino says, Tanganga, Mee, Godfrey, Wu and Billing would be the statement from the owners we've been waiting for, not forgetting Matty, the Swedish kid. I agree. Brand says, evening, Jimmy, I really like the players we're linked with. Let's see if they actually get them over the line. We shouldn't have had to write off the first 2 league games of the season. I agree. Do you think Tanganga lines up for Millwall on Saturday, says Mark Meldrew? No, I don't, mate. No, I don't. I'll be very surprised. Chris Wiggins says, I'm a fan from America and I'm livid on how the new owners have handled this transfer window. All will be forgiven. Honestly, because as football fans, Chris, we are so fickle. And if we get in these statement signings, all will be forgiven. It'll still be annoying that we haven't gone earlier, but the argument will be these players weren't available earlier. I could argue they were, but it's desperation. Unfortunately, that's what it is. I think they're quite naive as an ownership. That's my interpretation. I think they've been quite naive in the transfer market and let targets go because they had a certain vision of how they wanted to operate and recruit, and it seems to have come full circle now, and we're back to players that Chris Wilder's been previously linked with. Ben Mee, you could see Wilder signing a Ben Mee or a Godfrey or a Tanganga. You can certainly see those being Wilder signings. And that's where his recruitment team that he appointed comes in. So it's no surprise to me that we're back onto domestic signings now. And I'm delighted we are, to be honest. We need to remember we have quality players already, but they're being made to look poor. Are we convinced the new players change anything and why? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? That's where Sayers has to earn his money. The owners are apparently stepping up where they need to. Sayers needs to make. There will be no excuses for Ruben Sayers if he gets these players and they don't work. Oh, we get Ben Mee over the line. No brainer of a deal. Reminds me of Jake Wright and kind of signing. Yes, that's very much like what it is. We can't compete with 45 grand a week for Billy and Ipswich offered. We can. It's just whether we will or not, and I'm not sure we will. If you thought about the money, and I think it was Jack that put this in the Platinum group earlier, we have saved on players, including all the loan signings, 45 grand a week. Raksaki were on a loan. Ben Brereton Diaz, I think, is close to 50 grand a week. That's 50 grand. That's nearly 100 grand that's gone anyway. The signings that have gone out the door, I think. Somebody made out like it were around 200 grand a week we've saved in wages. Probably a lot more, if I'm honest. We can afford it. It's whether we will. And who's to say with these new owners, we don't know what direction they're going to go into it. So, 3-1 win to us, says Jack. Says seems a lot more positive in the interview. Just go out all out attack, he says. Ben says, if we do get these centre-backs, what's the chance we play 3 centre-backs? Bearing in mind, Sariki and Burrows are great going forward, but not describable as defensive walls. Good word, Ben. I don't think we will immediately, but like we were saying earlier with Jack, it's an option, isn't it? Chris says, has repeated his statement. Fez says, evening, Jimmy, has anything changed behind the scenes at the Lane? Heard rumours about people taking a step back and possibly people brought in. Up the blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. We've brought in apparently, and I've only seen this from what I've read online, I haven't spoken to anybody about it, brought in a company to look at further investment in the club. That will take some time. It's a similar move to what Prince Abdullah made when he was trying to get a takeover of the club over the line. He was sort of going through third parties and things like that. Apparently that's what we're doing to bring in extra investment to the club. I don't know. I've heard the rumours, same as everybody else, but I don't know whether Stephen Rosen's taking a step back, Board's taking a step back, anything like that. So don't know enough to be able to speculate on it, to be honest, Fez. Brand says, the fact, I think what has changed is the alarming results have made it obvious to anybody that we need some support on the field. And if they're going to back their man, he's the man that they brought in. They sacked the most successful manager of the last of this generation, and they needed to hit the ground running. and their man has stuttered at the first hurdle, and he's saying it's because you're not giving me the tools that I need. And a lot of us would agree. So let's see what Selles can do if he gets the tools that he's asking for. Brand says, the fact that Selles has to effectively kick off for something to change tell me that these owners genuinely thought that this team was good enough to compete. Some football knowledge brains needed. That's been my concern, is who are they surrounding themselves with? Who's advising them? And it appears as though we've got a little bit of, you look at, just gauge the fan base and you can tell from comments in the players that we're linked with, it appears as though some football people have been consulted for what appears to be the first time, but it's really positive. And it's one thing looking back on, oh, well, it's taken too long and we should have done it earlier and we shouldn't have given up the first 2-3 games. All correct. All correct. But if we're going to go forward, which we have to do, then everything that we're talking about now is positive going forward into its positive changes. So I'm back. I'm back on positivity street, and we're full steam ahead. We're hopefully getting these signings in. They've got to come in first and foremost. Don't build us hopes up and then pop the balloon by just bringing in, Ben Mee on a free. Ben Mee's a great signing and he is what we need, but we need more. We need this level and this volume of quality to come in as well. So do as you are teasing us that you're gonna, and get him in. And from what I'm hearing, again, which led again to my probably premature tweet about getting really giddy and excited about it, the future could and should, with the quality that we know is in the squad then, should look bright. A bit like Lee's been saying as well. If we get the players we're linked with, good. But if we need to see them in our shirt before, I believe, hopefully we don't lose on Saturday. That's right. Can't celebrate them until they're holding the shirt up. Jack reckons it's a bit too good to be true with Philip Billing. In the words of Andy the Blade, Jim, I'd drive Jackie Longthrow to Wrexham, says Phil. Yeah, I think he probably would. I see the Swede wasn't in the Malmo squad, so smells like that's close, says Shelton. Billing would be an awesome addition, but I suspect he'll go to the Suffolk boys. We'll see, mate. We'll see. You're most likely right. I hope not, though. There's always a glimmer. Brett the Positive Blade says, let's be positive Saturday and bring the noise and let Millwall know what they're up against. Up the Blades, up the positive ones. Join the Plats to hear more positivity. Thank you, mate. Brett trying to sell the Platinum chat. If you want to join us on Patreon, you're all more than welcome. Thank you for that. Phil says, just like to say, Jim, great show and content, mate, as always. Thank you, pal. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's a simple formula, but it's steered by you lot commenting and having your say on what you feel. We read out Lee Pitts. Might be right. If it's for leadership, then I think you need, then it's a starter for me. Things like, but Lee has put in comments that are not negative per se, but just against, like, let's just hold his horses and not get overly, he's not convinced by the manager. We all have his own say, don't we? We all have his own opinions on stuff. I'm trying to be more positive. I certainly feel more, it's not forced. I feel more positive with the news that we're hearing. If in 10 days' time it turns out that we've not got Tanganga or Godfrey or Billing, none of them, I'll be raging. But I'll have to wait and see what's coming in instead. So just got to take it as we find it out, I suppose. Martin says, why does someone on the S2 4SU forum slag you and the Ramble? Don't know, don't go on. For that reason, really. This channel has more credible info and entertainment they can only dream of. Keep it going, Jim, and take no notice if you are aware. Well, I wasn't, but thank you for bringing it to my attention, Martin. Up the Blades and up the Ramble. Look, I took the choice some time ago, and not everybody on that forum will be of that mindset. But I took the decision not only to not go on that forum, but anybody that was not just negative, because you can be negative and still raise a point. The only thing we preach here is to be respectful to each other in the comments, and I don't go out and target any other forums or channels or anything like that, because why would I? Why would I? Why not just focus on what we do? And I think that's the way that people should be. So I took a conscious decision, because it does get me. I'm quite easily hurt, unfortunately. It's an Achilles heel of mine. So I don't go on the forum, and I'm sure that people will slate me on there, and I don't like the thought of it, because I don't really know what I do to offend people, if I'm honest. And I don't you know, I don't watch channels that have slide digs and things like that. So it's just unfortunate that some people feel the need to do it, because you won't find us doing that here about anybody, whether they've wronged us or not. You know, there's all sorts of stories that have gone on, and I think I could just, but why give it the time? Why give them the spotlight? Why give them what they want? I'm over it, to be honest. So thank you. I said thank you for bringing it to my attention. I don't need to know, Martin. I know you said it with best intention, and I appreciate your compliment, because it's much appreciated. But there's a reason I step back from places like that, because it doesn't do me any good, to be fair. And I don't think it does anybody any good to be negative about anyone else. So, L-Dog says, seen on social media, we're trying to get Kumas on loan. Jim, heard anything? When Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain retires officially, we will be linked with Lewis Kumas still. We will continue to do that. We're linked with his dad for God knows how long. Lewis Kumas, I'm not blown away by, if I'm honest. I don't think he's done anything in his previous stints. He may well turn up and do something somewhere. There must be a player in there. Liverpool are no mugs, but he'll likely go to somewhere in the champ for 10 million quid when he's done nothing really yet. And that's Liverpool's business model. They got us with it with Brewster. Have they done it again with Bournemouth, with Doak for 20-25 million? And they saved themselves because they'll put a clause in there that says, well, Liverpool can buy him back for 40, or they'll get a sell-on of 20%. So there's all sorts of things. The big clubs control everything, don't they? But in terms of this signing, I've not heard about Lewis Kumas, but I wouldn't be overly enamoured if he was to come, to be honest. Brownhill wants silly money, says Rockumentaries United. Yeah, I'm sure he does. But it's only the equivalent of paying a transfer fee for him, isn't it? If he wants a 5 million signing on fee, 10 million signing on fee, he's a £10 million player, isn't he, all day long? So there's no difference between paying him as an individual and the club, or paying a club for his services. And he knows that. That's why he's sitting tight. Paul says, I can see us part exchange with Ramazani. Jimmy, honestly, and would you take that with an extra money your way? I can see this being offered by deadline. Just my opinion. Would Blades be happy with that, though? No. Gus Amer's much more impactful than Ramazani, although we do need someone in that position, and we don't necessarily need someone in the position that Gus is in currently. So some would entertain it, I'm sure, Paul, but I would rather keep Gus, because I think he's the difference in a lot of games at the championship level. Michael says, evening, Jim. Could Billing be a replacement for Gus? No, different players, I think. That Disco Biscuits post is the best thing I've ever read on here. Michael says, Jimmy, you weren't sure in an earlier stream how many matches Burnley and Leeds lost last season. Burnley lost 2 matches, there you go, and Leeds lost 4. Neither team lost back-to-back matches. Thank you, Michael. I knew one of them, or I thought one of them, and I suspected it were Burnley. Burnley lost 2 games all season, so now we've got to go unbeaten to match what Burnley did last year. And it's just not going to happen, is it? What's the rumour in regards to BBD? I don't believe it, if I'm honest. Links that we are back in for him with West Brom and I think Middlesbrough. I don't think it's true. Where does he get in? Do we play him on right again, which didn't work for us last season? I don't think it happens. Cheers, Jimmy says, Blunt Yorkshireman. I think they ring Andy the Blade instead of me or you. Yeah, possibly, mate. Possibly. Nick says, I really like the way Sayers talks. First time I felt excited this season. Good luck getting to the 10K. Been a fan of the channel since the early days. You very much deserved it, Jim. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Ben says, Jim, would love to hear what Andy the Blade thinks on the players we're linked with. Coming soon. I'm away Monday to Friday next week. There will be stuff on the channel from Dave the Nose and Man Mountain, but we'll be getting my dad on after that. So when I'm back the week after, we'll be speaking to my dad for a bit of talking sense. Connor says, there's talk of Farke neglecting. This talk of Farke neglecting Ramazani as he did last year. He'd be a right signing. Kid's a whiz. Absolutely right. Snap your hand off. We'll definitely take Ramazani. My point to Paul earlier was not that I don't like Ramazani. I think he'd be ideal for us. Nick says, really like the way he talks, and we've already read that. I think you posted it twice. S17 says, does Barry get into another top 6 side? Not sure he does. Worries me that he won't actually create or do that much for us this year. I think he's looked really, really strong, to be honest. In the fleeting moments we've been in the final third, I think he's been one of our better performers attacking. Can't write him off yet. S17, surely. The view from the mountain. Says, loving watching from France, especially the last couple of days. These owners are hard to understand. All these deals could have been done 3 or 4 weeks ago. Need 3 points on Saturday. Already playing catch-up. Can't wait to have you back, pal, but hope you're having a great time at the same time. Andy Nash says, why is everyone so certain that the current moves represent the club waking up? I assume that is. Fair point. Fair point. I don't necessarily think... I think it's desperation, Andy, if I'm honest. But I don't care. As long as it happens, I don't care in what context it is. Josh says, if we bring in all these defenders, where does Robinson, Reece and Bindon go? Bindon stays. Other two. I love Reece, Norris and Davis as a servant to the club, and I think he's a trier, and he's not been the same player since his injury. And yeah. Michael says, Birmingham are being linked with Mitrovic, Serbian international. That will be some signing if they get him through the door. Yes, it would be. Be an awesome signing, to be honest. But is he the same player? I don't know how old he is now. Has he been playing out in Saudi? The level's not great, is it? I ain't taking a point from anyone in this league, and yes, I have my rose tinted glasses on. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, says Michael Fisher. So much for that says is yes man nonsense. There we go. We did say that, didn't we, Cooler King? He's not a yes man. He's laid down the law to the board, and they're seemingly fallen into line. Max says, what fax machine? COH have sold it in to line their pockets. Hang on. Josh, get your room tidied up. Dad, give it a rest. Chris says, Bindon goes nowhere. Reece, Norris and Davis and Calamity can go for me. Mike says, I'm hoping we see a better version of Bindon once a more experienced centre-back comes into play alongside. I agree, as I've not seen anything in him to say he's a championship player at the moment. I've seen glimpses, to be honest, I have, and that's just an opinion, isn't it? But I think you'll see better performances out of him. I think he'll struggle to hold down his place if both come. But we'll see. We'll see, because Godfrey can definitely play right back. It's if Wu comes in, I think, that might cause Bindon a problem if we get both Tanganga and Godfrey, because I think Tanganga and Godfrey then become the centre-backs. But we'll see. Heard good things on Godfrey from an Everton fan. He's a good player, Mark. He's a good player. I'm really pleased with it as a signing. I nearly said potential signing then, but we're almost there, aren't we? Andy says, why is it the club waking up or panicking? Couldn't it just be how the transfer window works, especially for players at the levels and costs we're looking at? It seems to be a process, many moving parts. It certainly is many moving parts. It's been scattergun, and it's been late moving, and it's been slow to react, and not too many cooks, really, a little bit, in terms of not agreeing on targets within the necessary time frame. Tim Irigbunham is a prime example. We've had him done for 2.5 weeks, and it gets to the point where Everton end up playing him in the... We were always going to have to wait because Everton wanted replacements in, but we could have had that deal signed to be done once they got those replacements in, and it didn't happen. And we've just been slow, Andy. And I know what you're saying. We could all be wrong, and it could have all been a plan all along. But why would you leave yourself so short at the start of the season? If that were the case, you could have got Tanganga 6 weeks ago. You could have got Ben Godfrey on loan 6 weeks ago. They were all available. It's just it's scrambling now, and I think it's pretty obvious. But you are giving a fair counter. We need a win on Saturday. Hopefully over centre back by then. Absolutely right. I think Chris Mepham would be a great signing, Jimmy. I think we've moved on, to be honest, Pete. And it may come to the fore a little bit if any of these deals don't come through. But yeah, I think he's a good championship option. I prefer the options we're in for, if I'm honest. Brand says we can easily compete with Ipswich for wages. We have massively decreased the wage budget and brought in big transfer fees. Billing improves us massively and benefits us by Ipswich not having them. Yes, correct. Anybody selling disco biscuits says killing with kindness. David says, evening Jimmy, I heard we're in for Billing, Brownhill and BBD. Any truth to it? The only one I've heard that we are interested in and not yet bid is Billing. I don't think we'll get anywhere near Josh Brownhill. Why would he come to us when he's rejected Premier League moves? And BBD, I don't think we'll be in for. I'll be amazed. Drive Jackie Long throw there. I give him a piggyback there, says Fez. Jake says, just come straight here from hot off the presser. Love that. Since when did we sign Tommy Doyle and why is he injured? What? What are you talking about? Callum Doyle has signed for Wrexham. Is that the Doyle that we're talking about? Good thing about this channel is we can agree to disagree, but we all want what's best for the Blades. Absolutely right, pal. thing I loved about Wilder was how he could sell the club to players. He'd even get Ronaldo to join us, up the blades, up all the rambles. Yeah, I think we've lost something there, but we're going to do whoever came in. That were a magic touch that he had, I think, personally. But we'll see. If these deals come off, then we've signed the players that we need, haven't we, I think. John says, people slag you and the Ramble mate because they're jealous. Keep up the great work, up the blades, up the Ramble. I don't see any of it. I kind of, thank you, John, but I just sort of tunnel vision it, really. I don't want to think about it because I don't like it, obviously. We could do with Hamza Chowdhury back and Ben Diaz. I'm not sure, Jamie. I'm not sure. Hamza Chowdhury, maybe. My team for Millwall is Cooper in goal. Back four of Sariki, Godfrey, Bindon, Burrows. Godfrey already's in there. Samari in the 6, Hamer and O'Hare in the 8s, Brooks and Barry on the wings with Campbell up top, 2-0 blades, up all the rambles. Ducky says, I'm a Leeds fan and it does annoy me that Farker just doesn't trust Ramazani. It doesn't annoy me. If it means he's half a chance of us getting him, then I like it. It does perplex me though, I don't understand it. I wouldn't have BBD back. Thought he looked disinterested last season and was very poor, didn't offer much when he was even out on the left. Playing Harrison, Paul says, playing Harrison before Rama shows me everything. We'll lose him. Colin says, evening, Jim, you have a fantastic channel. You say it as it is. Great channel and content. Up the blades. Like and subscribe. Up the Ramble. Thank you, Col. Much appreciated. Matt says, I saw Dave the Nose in town last week. Didn't say out to him as he was with his kids. Proper wanted to sing his song to him, though. Whenever you see Dave the Nose or Man Mountain, I want you to go up to him and sing him the song. I want you to. Please do. It's very good. And if you can get it on video, I'll play it out on Ramble. That's a promise, actually. If anybody goes up to Dave the Nose or Man Mountain and sings their song to them, gets them on film and sings it to them, I will play it out on the Ramble for all to see. There you go, boys. Darby says, I wouldn't be getting excited, though. Excited enough, even if we signed Prime Sol Campbell. I won't get excited until we're getting results on the board, if I'm honest. Up the blades, up the Ramble. You've got to get excited at some names. I understand what you're saying, though, Darby. Ultimately, it's the points on the board, isn't it? Mr. V says, what happens to McCallum when these new players are coming in? Is a disaster waiting to happen, in my opinion. I'm not confident on McCallum. Mr. V, Man Mountain's gone strong on him not being a strong enough backup. I agree. I think he's the lesser of a few evils, if I'm honest. I think at least we have got back some form of backup at left back. I think it needs looking at longer term, but he will stay as the backup to Harrison Burrows. I'm pretty sure that will be the case. I just don't want to see him get as much game time if we can help it next season. You said Tommy Doyle instead of Tom Davis about being injured. Oh, did I? Oh, right. Okay, that's Freudian slip, innit? Just wish you were still there. Good spot, Jake. I had no idea I'd done that. Gabe says, would you swap Ramazani and Cash for Gus? Gabe, somebody's just asked me that. No, I wouldn't. Because I think Gus is the game changer at this level. Ramazani's a left winger as well, and we can play Gus out there if we need. So that's splitting hairs a little bit, but I think Gus is a better player. So I'd say no, but I would love to have Ramazani. Matt says, yeah, you said Tommy Doyle in the press earlier, Jimmy, about the Wrexham guy. Easy mistake. It certainly is. Certainly is, especially when you love Tommy like we do. Pete says, it's always been a United way to hoover up bargains on deadline day. Watch this space. Yeah. All right. Russ says, big learn for the board here. Sayers said something in the presser like him and the transfer team were now on the same page. Love the honesty. Don't like they weren't on the same page before now. No, but it's better late than never, isn't it, Russ? I think is probably the best way to say it. Right. We're going to call it there. I'm at the end of the comments. We've gone over an hour. Next time you see me, we'll be on Ramble FC, actually. We're going to say we'll be on 90 after 90, but we're on Ramble FC tomorrow night. Come and join us for the watch along. We may have some Sheffield United things to talk about over there. But if we do make some signings, then you know we're here, don't you? You know we're going to be on and we're going to be talking about it. So keep it Ramble. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. You subscribe to the channel so you don't miss us when we come up in your feed. But if you want to know if we are going to come up tomorrow, you will only see it if you put your notification bell on it or flash up. So you'll see that we're on. So subscribe to the channel. Tap the bell so you get the notification that we're coming on. And we'll see you tomorrow. Let's see what the final few comments are saying. Yeah, you mentioned Tommy Doyle was injured. I'm sure you meant Tom Davis. Poor old Tommy Doyle getting injured for Sheffield United when he's signed for Birmingham. Finn says, hopefully we can come up with some new chants this season. Now our two most creative ones have gone. There's a good chant about Tanganga. 500 miles about Tanganga, isn't it? Tanganga. Tanganga. I think it was Toddy that put that in our Ramble chat. Platinum group. Chris says they should have been on the same page from the start. They should, but they weren't. Do you think you can still go up? We can still go up if Gus goes. Dad's a massive fan of the Blades. Shout out to Dad, Bingley Senior. But yeah, I think we could. Obviously, it's a lot harder now. We're starting -6 and losing your best player. You're always going to damage your prospects, aren't you? But we have got players that can play in the positions that he would vacate. So I wouldn't write us off completely, but I think we're certainly hindered if Gus leaves the club. Leeds fan obsession with Ramazani is mad. He's miles off Prem quality, says Paul. Well, we don't need him for Prem, do we? So we'll have him for Champ if you don't need him. So I'll leave it there. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We'll see you very, very soon. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. All the Blades!